Equal rights come with equal responsibilities, but not for women. Women are the darlings of society who can get all the benefits of equality, but barely any responsibility. What they don't tell people about the Me Too movement is that it only applies to women. Men who are harassed or assaulted by a female coworker are essentially ignored until irrefutable evidence is provided proving otherwise. Even then, the female is usually counseled and rarely dismissed. There aren't any other derogatory impacts. They are free to make counter-accusations, and that puts the men on the defensive and impacts their careers and future no matter the outcome. Even if proven the female was the aggressor, if a counter-allegation is made, he's still finished in that business. Now, fewer women are being hired by large companies because they know, apart from the quotas that they have to fill to keep the shareholders happy, they don't have much to gain from hiring women. But did women bring this onto themselves? Is this a failure of feminism? Let's see. A gender quota does more harm than good. It's all about the feminist agenda. Quota is more important than reality in the eyes of the law. The law is sometimes contrary to common sense. I'd rather employ qualified men than not so qualified women out of legal obligation. The bottom line is, reality is more important than quota. The law is contrary to common sense. Men know what it's like to feel like they're a constant threat to women. At any moment, if you even look at a woman wrong, she'll label you a creep. Men are proud. Men will not tolerate this kind of slander and disrespect. This is one of the reasons men are staying away from women at work. This is the reason why fewer women are being hired by large organizations, and they're only doing it to fill their quotas. Frankly speaking, I'm not against women getting high positions if they are the best at the job. I'd hire more women than men, but to hire based on gender only is just stupid. Men are smart to ignore and avoid women at all costs, and men should avoid talking to women or even looking their way at work. You as men should treat women as if they don't exist and leave any space they enter. Treat all women as if they are someone you can't stand and they make you sick, so you avoid them all the time. Over the last decade, and with the increase in implementation of the feminist agenda, more and more companies were made to hire women by law. Companies had gender quotas that they needed to fill. They had a number of mandatory female workers that they had to hire as board members or regional or global heads of various departments, such as marketing and procurement. But all of that came at a price, and women and feminism are both to blame for this as well. Women have made it so. It's their fault 100%. Of course, men have done their share of negatives at work. Me Too has had a backlash. If a man is harassing or abusing, he should be held accountable. False charges against men should be treated as harassment and abuse and should be treated in the same manner. Working with women is like walking through landmines. You never know when you're going to get hurt. Men know they're going to get in trouble if they do anything even remotely wrong. Women don't. Women know that society and the law are on their side. They can get away with exploiting a male or placing a totally made-up allegation against him that can get the man fired. The point is, men have a lot more to lose than women in the workplace. A man will lose his whole identity, his means of earnings, and his value in society if a woman falsely accuses him and gets him fired. But a woman doesn't have that much to lose. In fact, a woman will instead sue the organization if it fires her, and she will probably end up earning millions in a legal battle that will show her as the victim. I do believe that women and men can both achieve great things and add similar value to organizations. Yes, but women commonly adhere to their own nature and bring it into the culture at the workplace. You must have heard of someone being falsely accused of misogyny or some sort of harassment allegation who got fired from his job and could never recover financially because no other company would hire him. That's right. Men have started to avoid women in the workplace because they know one call to the human resources manager from a woman can potentially make them lose their source of income and reputation. Men are afraid they're going to get fired. Another study that was conducted to evaluate the effects and consequences of the Me Too movement found that men are becoming noticeably less willing to approach their female peers in the workplace. Well, the main reason is that they just don't want to be in a situation where they're framed for any sort of allegations against them by the women. They don't want to lose their jobs over some women. And it's pretty easy for women to have a man fired from his job these days. It's just one email, call, or conversation away from human resources and senior management. God forbid if a woman even alleges untruly that a guy harassed her at work, that man will lose his job, any chance of getting another employment in the future, along with his reputation and self-esteem. That is the enormous advantage that women have over men at work. Therefore, it should come as no surprise that 21% of men said they would be reluctant to hire a woman for a job that needs an intimate connection, like traveling for business. 19% of the males responded that they would be reluctant to hire a woman who was deemed attractive by social norms. The reality is that men would rather work more freely with other men. This only serves to demonstrate how increasingly wary males have become of women throughout time, especially in the last 10 years, and how much they would prefer to communicate and work with other guys. In cubicles, meetings, and boardrooms, they prefer to work with other males rather than women because they can share information, talk about ideas, and organize their schedules together. This is due to their fear of losing the career they have worked so hard to build over a long period of time. They may lose everything with just one unfounded accusation. In a society that primarily takes into account and believes what women say, one false charge could end up being the villain. The truth is that the typical attractive modern woman of today is out of reach anyway. In every movie you see, regardless of how recent or how old it is, the lead character is either the most attractive woman or the most attractive man, who is incapable of wrongdoing and who works to uphold justice in society. The evil men and villains are always aged, gorgeous, scared people who look awful. It should therefore come as no surprise that neither men nor women would want to consider hiring attractive women, because if a woman made a false complaint against a man, everyone would assume that she was telling the truth. Everyone can see a guy trying to flirt with a beautiful woman. That is how it has always been. Guys find it extremely challenging to deal with a harassment issue. Some people may be accused of harassment for merely making jokes with a coworker. Even in this instance, two male coworkers could legitimately be making jokes among themselves without targeting anyone, and they could be condemned for it as harassment. Then, all of a sudden, HR is after them and interrogating them about everything. Men are wary of shaking hands with women out of concern that she could view it as harassment. Avoiding touch altogether would be easier. It makes sense that men would want to avoid being alone with women to avoid any potential problems that could endanger their careers. And because they feel left out, women have started to protest about this. They are no longer expected to work harder on projects and finish them in the wee hours of the morning at the office. Because they know their professions won't be in jeopardy, people would prefer to ask men to stay late and work with them. In reality, men just don't want gossip and overreactions from women. Women are also left out of the team's private and confidential meetings when important information is exchanged. If I had to share anything with a coworker in a cramped conference room alone, and I had to go with someone, I'd prefer to pick a man, since I understand that inviting a woman into a confined space might seem odd to others. The adverse effects of Me Too are still being felt in the corporate sector, not just in America, but also in Europe, England, and other parts of the world. Men will continue to avoid working with women as long as they continue to overreact to the movement and level false charges against them that we constantly see in the media. There's no place for gossip and drama at the office, and unfortunately, that's what most women bring to it. And companies will secretly continue to avoid hiring women because they know the more women they have in the company, the more drama it will lead to, and the more its work and profits will suffer as a result. Men should never be alone with a woman at work. Men should not mentor women. Men should not travel alone with female coworkers. Not because women are bad, but because men need to protect themselves. End of story. This is the only way to protect yourselves now. Thanks for watching Man Reacts. Show us your love and support by liking this video, sharing it with your friends, and subscribing to the channel. And let us know your thoughts on this in the comments. We're always up for a healthy debate and discussion.